One of the things I've been struck by in the last few weeks is the need for the church and for Christians in this country to stand up and to change the narrative. If you look on social media, if you look in any of the media today, there's so much criticism, there's so much anger, there's so much finger pointing. And I agree that we need to hold people accountable. I agree that at the end of all of this, there will be lessons that will need to be learnt. But what I don't agree with is this idea that people aren't trying their hardest, because I think people are. People are doing the best job that they can do. And I wish that as a country we would adopt an approach of encouragement, of challenging, yes, when it's right to challenge, but not ripping everybody apart, and not living in this society that just seems to be so angry and aggressive. And I think for us as Christians and for us as the church, that we do need to stand up and to show that we're different. I think we need to show love and mercy, compassion, hope, help, and the light of Jesus. Now more than ever is the time that the church needs to stand up and needs to share the love of Jesus. In the Bible, there's the story of some religious leaders talking to Jesus, and they're trying to trap him. They're trying to be negative and critical of him. And they ask him the question, Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? And in Matthew's Gospel, we find Jesus' reply. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So Jesus is asked the question, what is the most important commandment? And he says, love God. Love God with everything. Put God first with everything that you have. We think, yes, we understand that. We agree with that. But then he goes on and he says, there's more. But I don't want you just to think about yourself. Don't just love yourself. Love your neighbour as you love yourself. And so Jesus was questioned, well, who is our neighbour? Who is the person that you are asking us to love? And he goes on in this passage to tell the story of the Good Samaritan, making the point that anyone and everyone is our neighbour, and that we are to act with love and compassion and integrity towards them. And I want us to think for a moment about our geographical neighbours. I want us to think about the people that God has placed us amongst. Those in our streets, those in our friendship networks, those that Jesus is asking us to shine his light into their lives and into their situations. How can we love our neighbours? How can we bring hope and help in this time of difficulty? I heard a wonderful story this week of a 5-year-old boy who is into hammer beads, and he made some hammer bead hearts, and he wanted to give one to everybody in his street. So his mum helped him to put them in envelopes, and he wrote on it love from and put his name and his house number. And they made 49 of these and they put them through the doors of everyone in their street. And his mum said that she was overwhelmed with the response that they got. People wrote back, people sent cards. They said, thank you so much, that is just so beautiful. People put them up in their windows. And her reflection was that here was her little lad, not really understanding COVID-19, not really understanding anything that was going on, but he had a heart that wanted to do something, that wanted to bless his neighbours. And so he did something simple. And in that one act, it has brought a greater community. It has brought a greater conversation. It has brought a greater sense of love. And so the question I'm asking myself, and the question I'm asking each one of us is, how can we love our neighbours? I think for me, the first thing that I think I can do is to pray every day. If they're sick, to pray for their healing. If they don't yet know Jesus, to pray that their hearts and their minds would be open, that the Holy Spirit would be at work in their lives, convicting them of the truth. I also wonder whether we can ask our friends and neighbours whether there is anything that we as a church can be praying for them. If they're sick, can we say, can our church pray for you? Is there something practical that we can do to help? Can we just leave a little blessing on their doorstep? Maybe it is a heart. Maybe it's some chocolates. Maybe it's a bottle of wine. I don't know. But what can we do with a little note from us that says, thinking of you, just wanted to put a smile on your face? Maybe it's that we spend some time in these coming days and say, God, would you show me specifically what it is that you would have me do? I think now more than ever, in a time of darkness, in a time of pain and difficulty, I think we as Christians in the church need to stand up. We need to stand up and say that there is hope, there is help, there is Jesus. Let's love our neighbours, let's love God, but let that outflow from us, and let's find ways to share the love of Jesus.